said, the Greek young lady and journalist, I understand perfectly the question you are making, because indeed, what we have been seeing in the last years in Europe is the biggest stress test ever to European integration. People speak about stress tests to banks, but the real stress test to European integration. Can we remain united when we have these kind of challenges and, in some cases, so different situations, for instance in financial terms or economic terms? My answer is yes, we can and we should remain united. And my deep conviction is that if we were not united, we would be in a much worse situation than one we are today. I know that for the ones who are suffering the consequences of the crisis, sometimes it does not matter who is responsible for that. But I think it is important to remind them that this crisis was not created by Europe or by the European Union, or even less by the euro. The euro, by the way, remains a very strong, stable, credible currency. This crisis was originated mainly by two types of problems: irresponsible behavior in some sectors of the financial activity, with huge private debt, with behaviors of sometimes of criminal nature that put in question the solidity of the financial system, and also irresponsible public debt created by governments, national governments, not by the European Union. So Europe was not the cause of the problem. Europe is part of the solution. But it is true that as Europe, namely in the euro area, we did not have all the instruments to respond to the situation from the beginning. We did not have, as we have now, for instance, the European Stability Mechanism. We did not have mechanisms of solidarity. So we have a monetary union, but not an economic union, and not enough mechanisms of solidarity. So during the crisis, we have been, what we have been doing, we have been building the lifeboats in the middle of the storm. I think everybody agrees that it is not very comfortable to build the lifeboats in the middle of the storm. But that's what happened. But let me tell you that, for instance, 2 years ago, in the heat of the crisis, in context I had, for instance, the chief economists of the most relevant banks in the world, and many senior economists. Many of them were betting that by now Greece will not be a member of the euro area, and Greece is still a member of the euro area. That's why I said before. Last year we were 27 in the European Union, this year we are 28. Next year, this year we are 17 in the euro area, next year will be 18 in the euro area. Latvia will most likely go into join. So against all those doomsayers, the reality is that we have shown the resilience. The Greek people, for instance, in fact, in spite of all the terrible difficulties that has been facing that country, remain supportive of the euro, which makes me believe that in fact the forces of integration in Europe are stronger than the forces of disintegration. That requires, of course, a greater emphasis in solidarity. And that is why the European Commission has been advocating all the time solidarity and responsibility. Responsibility means the countries putting their finance in order. A lot has to be done at national level. The European Union cannot solve some of the problems that are of national competence. Cannot and should not. Precisely because we respect the sovereignty of the member states. But at the same time, so the countries and the governments, they have to show responsibility. But at the same time, those that are today in a better position should show solidarity. This is the equation, solidarity and responsibility. And we have seen, by the way, in the crisis, that for instance, when the problem started in Greece, the markets, not only in Europe, but the world, worsened. From China to Japan, from the United States to Brazil, in the G20, but next week I will participate in the G20 in St. Petersburg. This time I think that the euro crisis is not going to be at the center of the attention. Other problems are much more evident now, including in economic terms in other parts of the world. But I have to, and with my European colleagues, we have to answer questions from our international partners. What are you doing in Europe? Don't you see we need more integration in Europe if there is a member that is suffering these circumstances? And that has been our position. More integration. I think that what applies here to Europe, I can say it applies to the world. That will be my final remark. As I said before, and it was the theme of our retreat yesterday, regarding globalization, we are all in the same boat. And when we are in the same boat, we cannot say to one of us, your part of the boat is sinking. All the boat is. That is why, in fact, the reason for integration is more than ever there, but integration means responsibility and solidarity.